The Vanguard Defiance. Captain Ilara Chen stood at the viewport of Earth's first true warship, the ESS Vanguard. Beyond the reinforced glass, Earth hung like a blue marble against the void, peaceful and serene. But peace was ending. The stars that had once represented humanity's dreams now harbored threats previously unimaginable. "Final systems check complete, Captain," announced Commander Jackson, his voice steady despite the tension threading through the bridge. "All weapons platforms online. Adaptive shield matrix is stable." "Acknowledged," Ilara replied, not turning from the viewport. Her reflection stared back. Short black hair framing a face hardened by years in the United Earth Defense Force. At 42, she was young for a captain of Earth's most advanced vessel, but old in experience. She had seen more combat than anyone in the room, fighting pirates and rogue colonies in the outer system, but nothing like what they were about to face. 3 months ago, the Sylphid Collective had arrived at the edge of the solar system. Their crystalline ships had approached with casual arrogance, their communication filled with dismissive language. They called humans primitive carbon organisms, unworthy of the resources they possessed. 2 weeks later, they demonstrated their technological superiority by destroying Earth's primary orbital defense station with a single energy pulse. 12,000 lives extinguished in seconds. "Captain, Admiral Zhao is requesting final confirmation before departure," said Lieutenant Rivera, the communications officer. Ilara turned from the viewport, facing her crew. 25 of Earth's finest, selected from thousands of volunteers. Each face reflected determination mixed with fear. The Vanguard was experimental, a desperate gamble. Its adaptive technology, reverse-engineered from salvaged alien tech, remained untested in actual combat. "Tell the Admiral the Vanguard is ready. We launch in 5 minutes." As Rivera relayed the message, Ilara moved to the captain's chair, centering herself. Around her, the bridge hummed with controlled energy as officers monitored systems that until recently had existed only in theoretical physics papers. "Dr. Nakamura, status of the adaptive core?" she asked. From the science station, the physicist looked up, dark circles under her eyes testament to sleepless nights perfecting the ship's heart. "Stable, Captain. The quantum fluctuation patterns are within acceptable parameters. If this works," she paused, "the Vanguard will be able to analyze and adapt to enemy weapon signatures. If it doesn't..." Nakamura gave a small, tight smile. "Then we'll never know we failed." The ship's main drive engaged with a deep vibration that resonated through the deck plates. On the tactical display, Earth grew smaller as they accelerated outward, beyond the moon's orbit. Their mission was straightforward: locate a Sylphid scout vessel, engage, survive, and bring back data. Intelligence on an enemy that had dismissed humanity as vermin. 6 hours later, they found their target near the asteroid belt, a shimmering crystalline vessel about half the size of the Vanguard, its surface refracting starlight into prismatic patterns. "They've detected us," Jackson reported, energy signatures increasing. Ilara straightened in her chair. "Battle stations. Bring adaptive shields to full power. Tactical. Analyze their weapon signatures the moment they fire." The Sylphid ship rotated, presenting what appeared to be weapon ports along its crystalline hull. There was no communication, no warning, just a sudden surge of energy. The blast hit them like a physical blow, rocking the Vanguard despite its inertial dampeners. Displays flickered, and several consoles sparked with electrical feedback. "Shield integrity at 72%, shouted the tactical officer. "Adaptive core is processing the attack pattern." Ilara gripped her chair's armrests. "Return fire. Standard kinetic batteries." The Vanguard's railguns launched hyper-accelerated projectiles toward the alien vessel. They struck with tremendous force, but the Sylphid's crystalline hull diffracted the energy, minimizing damage. "Minimal effect," Jackson reported grimly. "They're charging weapons again." The second hit was worse than the first. The bridge lights failed momentarily before emergency systems engage. Shields at 41%. Portside armor compromised. Dr. Nakamura. Ilara called out. The physicist was bent over her console, fingers flying across the interface. I've got it. Their weapons use a quantum resonance frequency that destabilizes molecular bonds. The adaptive core has analyzed the pattern. Reconfiguring shields now. They're firing again. This time, when the energy beam struck, the Vanguard shuddered but remained stable. Displays showed shield integrity holding at 40%. It worked, Nakamura exclaimed. The shields adapted. Ilara didn't waste the opportunity. Tactical, reconfigure our plasma cannons to match the frequency the adaptive core identified. Target their central structure. The Vanguard's main weapons charged with a rising whine that filled the breach. When they fired, blue-white energy lashed out, striking the Sylphid vessel at precisely the frequency it would maximize damage to its crystalline structure. The effect was immediate and devastating. Cracks propagated across the alien ship's surface like lightning through glass. Secondary explosions followed as internal systems failed catastrophically. Direct hit. Jackson's voice contained barely suppressed excitement. Their structural integrity is failing. On the view screen, the Sylphid scout was breaking apart, fragments spinning off into the void. No distress calls, no escape pods, just silence and destruction. We did it, Rivero whispered, voicing what everyone felt. But Ilara's expression remained grim. This was just a scout. Record everything. Every scrap of data on their technology, their weaknesses. Then set course for Earth. The return journey was tense. Repair crews worked to stabilize damaged systems, while the science team analyzed the wealth of information gathered during the brief but decisive engagement. By the time they reached lunar orbit, they had compiled a comprehensive report on Sylphid weaknesses. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Ilara addressed her crew. What we've done today proves humanity isn't the primitive species they labeled us. The Sylphids believed their technology made them invincible, but they failed to understand something fundamental about humans. We adapt. We survive. And now, we fight back. The Vanguard docked at the orbital shipyard to a hero's welcome. News of their victory, humanity's first against the alien threat, spread through the planet's communication networks. But Captain Chen knew better than to celebrate. This wasn't the end. It was barely the beginning. In the Admiralty's secure conference room, she delivered her report. The Sylphids rely on crystalline technology, with specific resonance frequencies. Their weapons are devastatingly efficient against standard defenses, but once analyzed, we can adapt our shields and weapons to counter them. Admiral Zhao, a veteran of Earth's unification wars, studied the tactical data with narrowed eyes. Can we replicate this adaptive technology for the rest of the fleet? Dr. Nakamura believes so, but it will take time. And the Sylphids will undoubtedly adapt in turn. Then we need to strike before they realize their vulnerability, Zhao decided. Captain Chen, your ship will lead our counteroffensive. How soon can the Vanguard be ready? Ilara thought of her damaged ship, of her crew who deserved rest but wouldn't get it. She thought of the 12,000 lives lost at the defense station, of Earth still vulnerable. Give us 72 hours for repairs and upgrades, then we hunt. Humanity's reckoning. 3 days of feverish work transformed the Vanguard. Its hull now bristled with enhanced weapon systems, each calibrated to exploit the weaknesses identified in Sylphid technology. The adaptive core had been refined, its algorithms sharpened by real combat data. Most importantly, Earth's scientists had replicated the technology for 4 additional warships, hastily converted from civilian vessels. In the Central Command Center beneath Geneva, Earth's military council debated strategy. Holographic displays showed the advancing Sylphid fleet, not just scouts now, but capital ships moving inexorably toward the inner solar system. A defensive posture is suicide, Ilara argued, pointing to the projected casualties of a direct confrontation. We need to take the fight to them. Target their supply lines, disrupt their command structure. General Santos, representing Earth's ground forces, scoffed. With 5 ships against their armada. This isn't a tactical scenario, Captain. It's desperation. It's asymmetric warfare, Ilara countered. The Sylphids expect us to defend Earth directly. They don't expect us to strike at their staging area near Saturn. Their arrogance makes them vulnerable. Admiral Zhao, who had final authority, studied the tactical projections silently before speaking. Captain Chen has demonstrated that technology isn't everything. Strategy matters. Courage matters. He straightened, decision made. The strike force launches in 6 hours, Captain Chen commands. As the Vanguard led its small flotilla beyond Mars orbit, the mood was somber. This wasn't just a reconnaissance mission. It was humanity's counterattack, perhaps their only chance to demonstrate that Earth wouldn't fall without exacting a terrible price. Lieutenant Rivera, monitoring communication channels, suddenly straightened. Captain, I'm detecting transmissions ahead. Not Sylphid patterns, something else. Ilara frowned. Origin, a small planetoid in the asteroid belt. The language is unknown, but it's definitely not Sylphid. This complication wasn't in the mission parameters. Ilara considered her options quickly. Adjust course. Let's investigate before we proceed. The planetoid was unremarkable except for a small, concealed base embedded in its rocky surface. As the Vanguard approached cautiously, they received a transmission, visual this time. The screen filled with the image of a reptilian face, scales iridescent under artificial light. Earth vessels. The alien spoke in heavily accented but understandable English. We are Draconid refugees. We monitor Sylphid movements. Your victory against their scout has been observed. Ilara exchanged glances with her officers before responding. I am Captain Chen of the ESS Vanguard. Why are you here, so close to Earth? To survive. To witness. The Draconid's vertical pupils narrowed. Our world was destroyed by the collective 80 cycles ago. We study them, looking for weakness. You have found one. This makes you valuable and targeted. Over the next hour, the Draconids shared their knowledge of the Sylphids, centuries of accumulated intelligence on an enemy that had methodically eliminated dozens of species. The collective wasn't just expansionist. They were exterminators who considered non-crystalline life forms to be cosmic pollution. Their main fleet approaches. The Draconid leader, who called himself Rix, explained, but we have identified their command vessel. Destroy it. And their coordination fails. Ilara studied the tacticals. Even with our adaptive technology, we can't penetrate their defenses directly. Rix extended a clawed hand, offering a data crystal. This contains navigation coordinates for their sensor blind spots. And this, he produced a second crystal, is a Draconid weapon. A resonance amplifier, planted on their command ship, activated, and their own energy systems will destroy them from within. The plan was audacious, borderline suicidal. The Vanguard would use the Draconid intelligence to approach the Sylphid command ship undetected. A small team would deploy to attach the resonance amplifier, then withdraw before detonation. The rest of Earth's makeshift fleet would engage the outer defenses as a distraction. 18 hours later, as Saturn's rings provided a majestic backdrop, the human fleet encountered the Sylphid armada, over 30 crystalline vessels arranged in perfect geometric formation, their surfaces gleaming with stored energy. At their center loomed the command ship, twice the size of the others, its structure more complex, more beautiful, and infinitely more deadly. Begin the approach, Ilara ordered as the bridge lights dimmed to combat status. Signal the fleet to commence their attack run in 3 minutes. The Vanguard slipped through the blind spot identified by the Draconids, its adaptive systems tuned to minimize detection. On the tactical display, the rest of the human fleet engage, drawing Sylphid attention with a bold frontal assault. We're in position, Commander Jackson reported. Boarding team ready. Ilara nodded. Deploy. And Godspeed. Jackson led the team, 4 officers in specialized suits designed to resist detection. They crossed the void between ships using maneuvering packs, small and stealthy against the vastness of space. On the bridge, Ilara watched through their helmet cameras as they landed on the crystalline surface of the command ship, magnetic boots securing them to the alien hull. They moved quickly to a juncture point identified by the Draconids, attaching the resonance amplifier. Device planted. Jackson's voice came through with static interference, initiating retreat. His transmission cut off as energy surged across the Sylphid ship's hull. The boarding team's signals vanished from the tactical display. "No," Rivera cried out. Ilara's knuckles whitened on her chair arms, but her voice remained steady. "Status of the amplifier." "Active, Captain," the tactical officer reported grimly. "But the Sylphids have detected us. 3 vessels breaking formation, moving to intercept." On the main screen, crystalline ships turned toward the Vanguard, weapon ports glowing with charged energy. The rest of the human fleet was too distant to provide assistance, locked in their own desperate battles. "Prepare for emergency jump," Ilara ordered. "We need to clear the blast radius before." The Sylphid command ship pulsed with internal light. Fracture lines appeared across its crystalline surface, propagating rapidly as the resonance amplifier did its work, turning the ship's own energy against it. Secondary explosions blossomed from within, beautiful and terrible. "Jump now," Ilara commanded. The Vanguard's engines screamed as they pushed beyond safety parameters. The ship lurched into acceleration, just as the Sylphid command vessel detonated in a spectacular release of energy. When the system stabilized, the tactical display told the story. The Sylphid command ship was gone, replaced by an expanding cloud of crystalline debris. The remaining alien vessels moved erratically, their perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Some collided with each other, while others fired weapons at random vectors. "The Draconids were right," Dr. Nakamura said wonderingly. "Without their command ship, they can't coordinate." The human fleet regrouped quickly, exploiting the confusion to target Sylphid vessels one by one. What had been a desperate last stand transformed into an unexpected rout. Within hours, the remaining Sylphids retreated, jumping to safety beyond Saturn's orbit. The cost had been high. 2 of Earth's converted warships destroyed, the others damaged. The boarding team lost. But they had achieved what seemed impossible. They had driven back the invaders, proven that humanity would not go quietly into extinction. 1 month later, Captain Chen stood in the rebuilt Geneva Command Center as representatives from 7 alien species, former victims or targets of the Sylphids, arrived to formalize an alliance with Earth. The Draconids had spread word of humanity's victory, and suddenly the primitive carbon organisms were valued potential allies against a common enemy. Admiral Zhao, now leading Earth's expanded defense force, addressed the assembly. The Sylphids believed their technology made them invincible. They mocked Earth as primitive, unworthy of consideration. They learned what many before them have discovered. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, but our resilience, our refusal to accept defeat. As the speeches continued, Ilara slipped away to the observation deck. Above, construction platforms surrounded the hulls of new vessels, improved versions of the Vanguard, incorporating both human innovation and alien technology freely shared by their new allies. Earth had entered the galactic stage, not as supplicants begging for mercy, but as warriors who had earned respect. The silence of space, that cold, dismissive void that had once seemed to mock human aspirations, would never again be silent. Humanity had found its voice among the stars, and it roared with defiance. Commander Rivera found her there, gazing upward. "The Draconids have offered us coordinates to a former Sylphid colony world. Apparently, they abandoned it after mining its resources, but left working technology. The Council wants the Vanguard to investigate." Ilara smiled slightly. "Of course they do. Are we ready for this, Captain? Everything's changing so fast." Ilara considered the question, watching as a shuttle carried Draconid representatives up to the orbital station, their once secretive species now open allies. Humans have always been ready for change, Lieutenant. It's what we do best. She turned from the window. Prepare the ship. We launch tomorrow. The stars waited, no longer silent, no longer mocking. And humanity answered their call.